Hello, my friends. Well, from the title, you would think that I'm a mess. But actually, today I woke up feeling like a new person, and it's really cool. And I'm really excited about that, and I hope it sticks because I feel like I go through seasons of, down and up. I think we all do. But I want to talk a bit about grief today because, well, as many of you know, or some of you may not know, I lost my dad 3 years ago. 3 years ago yesterday, actually, to alcohol. I'm trying not to be too abrupt with this, but I'm going to just say it as it comes out. He basically drank himself to death for about 10 years after his mother died. And at that point, the relationship between he and I ended because I couldn't watch it. I thought that he turned his back on me, but really he turned his back on himself. So when I got the phone call that my dad died, I wasn't surprised. I had been waiting for it. I had been hearing in my spirit to be ready for it, to be prepared for it. But when it happens, you're never really prepared, because you're always waiting for that last opportunity to reconnect with that person. Reconnect with the person, with the father I knew before he was broken by the loss of his mother. And of course, that opportunity never came because he lost his battle and he left this earth. And initially, the day that I heard, I went into immediate grieving mode, hysterically sobbing and crying for the person that I used to know. But as is my pattern, to have such intense emotions, particularly sadness or anger, I shut it down. And the week following, my older brother and I, had a lot of work to do to get ready for final things that you have to do when you lose someone. And then after that, I just continued to work. I probably scrubbed my cabinet fronts 4 times in the month after my dad died. Because as long as I kept working, as long as I kept my physical body busy, I didn't have to think about it and I didn't have to grieve. And then eventually that just became a pattern. Every time anything would come up about him, I would just get myself busy. I would put my earbuds in, get some music on, not sad music because that would make it worse, but anything to distract me from actually feeling the feelings that I need to feel. And how has that served me? Not well, because when you hold that stuff in, when I hold that stuff in, then things that are unrelated, not as, I want to say important, but that's not the right word, not as devastating, those would tip me off into what in my house my husband and I like to call meltdowns. And I wasn't actually dealing with and grieving what I was supposed to. So, on the advice of a very good friend of mine, I chose to actually grieve my dad yesterday. And I did a few things. I'm a little embarrassed about this part, maybe ashamed, but my dad used to smoke cool cigarettes. And I don't smoke anymore. Well, very occasionally I do. I used to smoke all of the time, and it was a coping mechanism. It was my drug of choice. It was a chill out for me. It was something that I did to escape, but it's been a few years since I did that regularly. But my dad used to smoke cools. And so I bought a pack of cool cigarettes. I planned for yesterday to be the day that I would grieve. And I know it's not a one-day process, but I actually have to plan. It sounds ridiculous, but I have to actually plan to work through emotions like that. I have to schedule it, or I won't do it. You know, there was a million other things I could have done yesterday, and those things kept coming to my mind. You know, Joy, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, we could do that, we could run away, we could escape, we cannot grieve Dad. So I got my cool cigarettes. I told my husband, and I told 3 friends that are very dear to me. I knew they would pray with me, or pray for me. I knew that they would, you know, be with me if I needed them, and if I was feeling like I was drowning, I knew that I could call them. So I did that, and yeah, so I set aside the time. I sat down in my garden, which is right back here at first. And I have to tell you, when I opened that pack of cigarettes and smelled it, that smell, and people tell me that cool cigarettes smell like nothing else, but that smell, I immediately was like, well, hello, Dad. That smell was so familiar and took me back to being a child that my dad loved very much, his little girl, you know. So I sat in my garden, I smoked one of those cigarettes, and after I put it out, I just sat and I cried and I listened and I prayed and I sat and sat and sat. And for a while I laid flat on my back and I just sat in it. And my knee-jerk reaction to that is to let it go for 2 minutes and then get up and get busy. But I had scheduled it, and I had decided that it was time. It was time to not be so broken. It was time to allow some healing to come in. And it was time to grieve my dad. So I sat in there for a while, and then I moved to a different chair, same thing, and just sat and cried. I wasn't hysterically sobbing, but I just let the tears flow. I didn't try to stop them. And in my spirit, I heard some really cool things, you know. They were probably memories of things that my dad would have said to me or did say to me when I was younger. And so I wanted to tell you guys this so that you know that if you are, you know, grieving, or you need to grieve, or, you know, we're all going to have to grieve at some point in our lives, that you actually have to do it. You have to do it. You have to, it's like, you know, like anything else in life, you have to do it. You have to schedule the time to do it, because if you don't, it's just going to eat you. It stays there. And do I think that I'm completely healed from the loss of my dad? No. I think that's always going to be a piece that sticks with me, because we aren't made to lose people. We are not meant to process the death of somebody that we love so desperately with our heart, with our soul, with our bones. And, you know, I miss my dad very much. I miss the man that loved me before he lost himself to alcohol. I wish he was still here. Parts of him, or parts of myself, remind me of him. Certain things that I hear come out of my mouth sound like my dad. I know that I have my dad's eyes, and occasionally, especially if I watch a video back, I see my dad in my face. So, I'm with you, little girl. I heard that yesterday. But, yeah, I feel like a brand new person today. I feel like I have a lot more hope, and I really, really had a burden lifted off of my heart, and I will always miss my dad. I love him so, so much, but it was just really, really cool. And yeah, so have a great day, guys. Have a great day. I'm going to have a good day today. I hope you have a good week. I'm not going to say I'm going to get back on schedule, because how much have I failed with that? I'm just going to say I will see you in the next video. Live and love out of the way you were created.